Last week, I made a video outlining the 10 most powerful wizards of all time, and that video followed a whole bunch of other power ranking videos I've done in the past, most powerful Death Eaters, Aurors, etc. Anyway, in the last video, I noticed quite a few people commenting that they wanted me to do the same for witches. I left witches out of the last video intentionally because they deserve a dedicated ranking of their own. So today, we're going to be taking a look at the 10 most powerful witches of all time, diving into the history books and seeing who is worthy of a spot on this list. Before we get started, why don't you comment your top 10 down below? I've got some wild cards you probably won't be expecting. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, welcome to another installment of Harry Potter Theory. I won't dawdle, let's kick things off in reverse order, starting with number 10, Lily Potter. Lily Potter, born Lily Evans, was an English Muggle-born witch born in the year 1960. Most notably, she was the mother of Harry Potter, and the main reason for Voldemort's downfall at the end of the First Wizarding War. While studying at Hogwarts, Lily excelled in her studies, which led to her quickly becoming recognized as an extremely powerful witch. She was skilled at martial magic, fighting off Voldemort on numerous occasions, potion making, charms, transfiguration, and more. In fact, Lily was so impressive that Voldemort attempted to recruit Lily to the Death Eaters in spite of the fact that she was a Muggle-born. However, Lily's most notable and most impressive accomplishment to date, and pretty much the sole reason she made it onto this list, was her loving sacrifice which allowed Harry Potter to live, simultaneously killing Voldemort for a time. This magic, known as sacrificial protection, is an ancient, potent, and enduring countercharm that's invoked when an individual willingly and selflessly sacrifices themselves out of a profound and unadulterated love to protect the lives of their loved ones. And how it works is simple. When a witch or wizard chooses to forfeit their life in exchange for the life of someone they love, the spell kicks in, initially shielding their loved one from immediate harm, and then forming an incredibly strong and long-lasting protective after effect. It also happens to be one of the most powerful forms of ancient magic in the Harry Potter universe, deemed the ultimate sacrifice by many. Given that there are so few canon examples of other witches and wizards invoking this same magic, and that this magic is oh so potent, I simply couldn't exclude her from this list. 9. Hermione Granger. Strangely enough, Hermione didn't make the cut on the first iteration of this list, but what that told me was that I needed to think things over more carefully, because Hermione, despite still being quite a young witch by the time the series ended, definitely still achieved enough to make it on here. During her time at Hogwarts, Hermione Granger was one of the most talented and intelligent students across any year, and over time, her inquisitive nature only propelled her to new heights, demonstrating a level of intelligence and magical aptitude that set her miles apart from her peers. She mastered spells far beyond her age group, often picking up advanced magic with ease while others struggled, and she was almost always the first in her year to master new spells. Hagrid himself once said, "And they haven't invented a spell our Hermione can't do," and he wasn't exaggerating. Remus Lupin also recognized her incredible talent, calling her the cleverest witch of her age he had ever met. And Harry, on one occasion, admitted, "One of my best friends is Muggle-born, and she's the best in our year." But what truly made Hermione stand out wasn't just her ability to memorize spells. It was her deep understanding of magical theory and application. She didn't just learn magic, she analyzed it, improved upon it, and found creative ways to use it in real-world scenarios. After the war, her power and intelligence only grew as she ascended the ranks of the Ministry of Magic, where she became a key political figure in shaping the future of Wizarding Britain. Though she may not have possessed the raw, destructive power of some witches on this list, her brilliance and versatility cement her as one of the most powerful witches in history. 8. Minerva McGonagall. When Minerva McGonagall attended Hogwarts as a young girl, she was one of the most talented students of her time, and went on to achieve top grades in both her newts and owls. Her extreme magical prowess shone through from a very young age, and her magical ability was only rivaled by her ambition, first working at the Ministry, then as a Hogwarts professor, and eventually headmistress of Hogwarts. McGonagall was an exceptionally powerful witch because of her well-rounded capabilities, possessing mastery over several branches of magic. And the first box that McGonagall ticks was her mastery of the dark arts. The truth is, not all good witches and wizards have knowledge of the dark arts. They may know the theory, but when it comes to actually casting these dark spells, they don't have much experience. McGonagall, however, clearly didn't have much of an issue with this, as in the books, she cast the powerful unforgivable curse Imperio on Amicus Caro. Her dueling prowess was certainly nothing to scoff at either, as she notably held her own against Severus Snape, in my view a top 10 most powerful wizard, defeated Electo Caro during the Battle of the Astronomy Tower, and fought Lord Voldemort himself alongside Kingsley Shacklebolt and Horace Slughorn. She also excelled in potions, having successfully brewed the highly complex Animagus potion, and she was a charms expert, as she could cast both corporeal and incorporeal Patronuses. However, her greatest magical strength lay in Transfiguration, a subject she excelled in from her school days and later taught as Hogwarts Transfiguration Professor. Not only did McGonagall achieve the significant accomplishment of becoming an Animagus, but she also notably animated an army of statues to defend Hogwarts and brought an entire chess set to life in order to protect the Philosopher's Stone. I just wish she took down Umbridge in Order of the Phoenix. 7. Bellatrix Lestrange. Bellatrix Lestrange, born Bellatrix Black, was Lord Voldemort's most loyal follower. A frightening pureblood witch that hailed from the notorious House of Black, Bellatrix was part of a long line of powerful witches and wizards with a twisted agenda. But she wasn't just his most loyal follower, she was also his most powerful follower, with the exception of Snape, who wasn't really a follower, beating out the likes of Antonin Dolohov, Corbin Yaxley, Fenrir Greyback, and more. A true mistress of the dark arts, Bellatrix had a nearly unmatched talent for dueling, and her unhinged nature, paired with her sheer cruelty, only seemed to fuel her power further, making her an unpredictable and deadly opponent. And even though Bellatrix had a well-rounded magical arsenal, including a high level of skill in occlumency, charms, and transfiguration, she unsurprisingly had a particular soft spot for the dark arts. Notably, she was a strong proponent of the Cruciatus Curse, one of the unforgivable curses, and she would mercilessly wield it whenever possible. Over the course of her life, she overpowered and defeated many formidable witches and wizards that stood in her way, including some of the most impressive Aurors that the Ministry had to offer. However, she did of course eventually lose her life to Molly Weasley. Though Bellatrix was ultimately killed by Molly, I don't necessarily believe that Molly was more powerful. To me, it seemed like the perfect combination of Bellatrix both underestimating Molly and pushing her to her limit, forcing Molly to invoke the power of ancient magic in order to save her loved ones. 99 times out of 100, Bellatrix probably wins. But when you get family members involved and you let your guard down, you can always get caught, even if you're Bellatrix Lestrange. 6. Amelia Bones. Amelia Bones was a British witch that at one point served as head of the Department of Magical Law Enforcement for the Ministry of Magic. Just like most of the names on this list, she attended Hogwarts in her youth, where she exhibited a high level of skill in a number of magical disciplines and a particular mastery in dueling. But her biggest claim to fame, Voldemort himself decided she was powerful enough to kill her personally. This is referenced by Cornelius Fudge in Chapter 1 of The Half-Blood Prince. "You don't say," said the Prime Minister furiously. "I won't deny that morale is pretty low at the Ministry," said Fudge. What with all that, and then losing Amelia Bones... Losing who? Amelia Bones, head of the Department of Magical Law Enforcement. We think he who must not be named may have murdered her in person, because she was a very gifted witch, and all the evidence was that she put up a real fight. If Amelia Bones was indeed targeted by Voldemort specifically, he probably had a great deal of respect for her level of magical power. He must have also recognized her as a legitimate threat to his resurgence. Her ability to hold her own against Voldemort, even briefly, speaks volumes about her magical prowess. Very few witches or wizards could even survive an encounter with him, let alone put up enough of a fight for it to be noted. By comparison, it took McGonagall, Slughorn, and Kingsley Shacklebolt to keep up with Voldemort during the Battle of Hogwarts. I think that Voldemort saw her as simply too dangerous to be left alive. Number 5. Cliodna. The origins of wizardkind go back many, many, many years. In fact, they go back so far that there is a lot that has simply been lost to the passage of time. However, what we do know is that one of the first known members of wizard kind to exist in Europe was a witch by the name of Cliodna, who presided there sometime in the Middle Ages. Cliodna was a famous Irish druidess, and notably appears on a chocolate frog card in the series. At one point, Harry picks up her chocolate frog card while she's scratching her nose. Cliodna was a powerful druidess, and her abilities were vast, including, of course, the ability to transform. Her main animagus form was that of a seabird, similar to Morgana Le Fay, but it has also been expressed that her unparalleled skill in transfiguration even allowed her to turn herself into things like waves. Always travelling along with Cliodna were 3 magical birds that could cure the sick by singing them to sleep. The entire concept of her character was of course inspired by the Cliodna of Irish mythology, a goddess of love and beauty who travelled with 3 magical birds that cured the sick. The sheer fact that Cliodna had such a strong mastery over transfiguration, arguably the most complex branch of magic, earns her a spot on this list. 4. Gormlaith Gaunt. Hundreds of years before Bellatrix Lestrange, another dark witch walked the earth, one whose vile acts made Bellatrix's atrocities seem insignificant in comparison. And if you think about it, this is quite a bold statement when you consider just how abhorrent Bellatrix was. Gormlaith Gaunt was an Irish pure-blood dark witch and the aunt of Isolde Sayre, the founder of Ilvermorny School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Gormlaith, who attended Hogwarts herself and was sorted into, you guessed it, Slytherin, strongly believed in pure-blood supremacy and had an intense hatred for anyone that challenged her extreme views. In fact, her hatred went so deep that she murdered her own sister and brother-in-law, burning down their house with them still inside. She also had something in common with Voldemort, an inability to feel love, a fact that made her all the more ruthless. But though Gormlaith is infamous for being one of the most evil witches to ever walk the earth, she was also one of the most powerful. The old witch had indulged in all manner of dark magic in an attempt to make herself invincible. Few witches in history were able to wield the destructive power of dark magic quite like Gormlaith Gaunt. In fact, she pushed the limits of the dark arts so far that it physically corrupted her appearance, much like Voldemort after his descent into Horcrux creation. And unlike many witches who pursued power for ambition or legacy, Gormlaith's magic was fueled by hatred, cruelty, and an obsessive belief in blood purity, and these relentless ideologies drove her deeper into the dark arts than any other witch before her. She mastered all manners of dark charms and curses, placing a particular emphasis on curses that could inflict pain or suffering, but could also notably produce an advanced sleeping curse that rendered her victims completely helpless. It's also likely that Gormlaith used Fiend Fire, perhaps one of the most volatile and uncontrollable dark spells, to burn down her sister's home. And if you still aren't convinced, let's not forget that when Gormlaith attacked Ilvermorny, she single-handedly overpowered Chadwick and Webster Boot, 2 highly skilled wizards whose twin core wands were amplifying their magic tenfold, driving them back in a duel of extraordinary proportions. 3. Helga Hufflepuff, Rowena Ravenclaw. These 2 get lumped in together because there's no real way to determine who is more powerful between them. However, we do know that they're deserving of a spot on this list because, well, they're founders of Hogwarts, and it's well documented that the level of power that the founders possessed is thought to be uncomparable to most modern-day witches and wizards. Not only that, but they each founded one of Hogwarts' 4 legendary houses, helped to enchant the Sorting Hat with sentience, and helped to build the highly intricate castle. Though these 2 witches weren't particularly known for their combat skills, that was Godric's domain, they were far from lacking in power, and instead of dueling, they chose to focus their efforts on other areas of magic, excelling in enchantment, spellcraft, and the development of Hogwarts itself. Helga Hufflepuff was known for her fairness, kindness, and inclusivity, but her magical abilities were anything but soft. She was a master of charm work and enchantments, particularly in household and protective magic, which made her an essential force in shaping the magical infrastructure of Hogwarts. Oh, and let's not forget her expertise in food-related magic, which was so advanced that many of the enchantments still used in Hogwarts kitchens today are credited to her. Rowena Ravenclaw, on the other hand, was revered for her unmatched intelligence, wisdom, and creativity, traits which directly translated into her magical prowess. She was a brilliant spellcaster, known for developing new spells and refining magical theory in ways that pushed the boundaries of traditional wizarding knowledge. Some even speculate that many of the spells used in Hogwarts curriculum today originated from her teachings. Rowena also played a key role in the architectural and magical design of Hogwarts, helping to create a self-sustaining, ever-changing magical institution that could withstand centuries of challenges. Her knowledge of charms, runes, and spellcraft was likely unmatched in her era, making her one of the most intelligent and innovative witches in history. Today, both of their legacies live on, and while they may not have been warriors, they were forces of magic just as powerful, if not more, than many great witches and wizards who followed. 2. Isidora Morganach. Isidora Morganach is a powerful witch featured in Hogwarts Legacy. She lived centuries before the events of the game, which takes place in the 1800s, and her story is revealed through pensive memories. She is best known for her unique and potentially dangerous mastery over ancient magic. In the world of Harry Potter, ancient magic refers to powerful, complex spells and rituals that have been passed down through wizarding history for thousands of years. These magical practices are often shrouded in mystery and legend, and many of them are considered dangerous or forbidden. Perhaps the most enigmatic component of ancient magic, however, is that its prevalence has seemingly diminished over time, with very little ancient magic still existing in the current era. A magic this powerful can do great harm in the wrong hands. It must be wielded by a select few. By the 19th century, ancient magic had become an obscure and powerful form of magic that was steeped in mystery. And those who had the capability to perceive and to manipulate it were considered to have a unique and exceptional ability. But the most important aspect that we need to focus on here is that it's incredibly powerful. For example, Lily Potter's loving sacrifice, which saved Harry and defeated Voldemort, was a form of ancient magic. But that was just one spell performed on one occasion. Isidora had a mastery over this type of magic and could use it whenever she wanted. This allowed her to perform feats beyond ordinary wizardry, including her most infamous ability, extracting emotions from people, which she believed could be used to eliminate suffering. Isidora was also a formidable duelist and possessed extensive knowledge in many other areas of magic, including conjuration, spell creation, and healing magic. Given that ancient magic is vastly more powerful than ordinary magic, and that Isidora was able to master it, it's hard not to place her near the top of this list. Her eventual downfall was not due to a lack of power, but rather her misguided use of it. 1. Morgana Le Fay. We first hear of Morgana Le Fay in the Harry Potter universe when Ron mentions that he has about 6 of her Chocolate Frog card. Chocolate Frog cards generally feature iconic witches and wizards of history, so the fact that she made the cut is a testament to her prominence as a historical figure, even in the Harry Potter universe. Her card makes it very clear that she was a very powerful dark witch, and this directly sums up the version of Morgana that the Harry Potter universe adopted. We got the evil Morgana, not to be confused with the morally righteous Morgana that exists in other fantasy series. However, perhaps the most significant detail about this Morgana is that she was the nemesis of Merlin, who, as I covered in my Most Powerful Wizards video, is regarded as the most powerful wizard of all time. Being the long-term adversary of such an extraordinary wizard speaks volumes about her own power, and given their ongoing conflict, I can't justify placing her anywhere but at the very top of this list. She dueled against Merlin, one of the most powerful wizards in history, and was able to hold her own against him, which means that she had to be at least close to his level in terms of power. Provided that her card describes her as a dark witch, it's reasonable to assume that she was extremely versed in the dark arts, possessing knowledge of all of the dark spells that we are accustomed to, and likely many more. However, what I've always found quite interesting about Morgana is that, despite being evil, she possessed immense knowledge of powerful healing abilities. We generally associate healing and the ability to heal with those that are morally good or righteous, but Morgana contradicts this. In fact, now that I think about it, Grindelwald also contradicts this, as he too had an immense understanding of healing charms. Perhaps they're somehow related. In addition to mastering the dark arts and healing magic, Morgana was also highly skilled in charms and transfiguration. A known animagus, Morgana was capable of transforming into a bird at will, which makes her one of the earliest known animagi. With all of this in mind, I can confidently say that Morgana was the most powerful witch in history. And that concludes the list. Honourable mentions go out to Molly and Ginny Weasley, Tina Goldstein, and the ancient witch Cersei. What do you think? How did your list match up with mine? Let me know down in the comment section below. Until next time, remember, it does not do to dwell on dreams and forget to live.